Alright guys, so this is going to be a raw reaction video to Saints vid that he just put up, because I love it. And I did, I might even upload the raw footage of when I reacted to the low on thing. It's just I repeat myself a lot when I make videos, so, afterwards. But yeah, anyways, let's get right into this. I'm just quitting out of the game real quick, so I can do this. I got a lot to do, but I did get clowned in at least, but I want to do this, so. I am going to skip through a couple of things in the beginning, because I did kind of already watch like a couple minutes of it, but then I like live reactions. So I just want you guys to kind of get my full reaction.
Okay, so this is the second time I'm recording this, because the first time I recorded...
Alright, I'm going to skip this first part just because I already listened to it. He talks about how he had recording issues and then the video got corrupted, and I actually feel that. Like, I've done that now, so, like, I get that. It sucks, especially when it's an hour clip or something like that, and you're like, fuck. Like, fuck, right? But it does give you a chance to kind of, like, perfect your speech, so to say. But
it recorded as MKV, which you can upload onto YouTube. And then
I don't know what that is, MKV. I don't really know a lot yet. But either way, I do understand what it's like to have everything just go wrong for you.
Convert it with a VLC, and then I corrupted a 45-minute recording. So here we are with the same exact recording.
I love this guy.
Part 2.
I love him.
So, this is the third episode of Casual Chats. This is kind of like a recap update on things that I'm playing and things in real life. A few things to really talk about, but the main things are 1, Lost Ark, and 2, life at home now that Stoops is back from his surgery from Mexico. We're gonna start with Lost Ark, then we'll do the
I also love how he's expressive.
Afterwards. So
I think it adds to it.
Yesterday there was a really big patch in Korea, and actually the patch wasn't that big, as in it was half a gig, but what it changed was the important part. This is probably, unironically,
I want to point out what he's going to say before he says it, right? But he's about to say something about how this is the first time they've ever had any updates done to the homework that we have. And I just want to make this clear again that I told you guys months ago why not to quit, because we're getting the best version of the game that has ever been made, because they already made all their mistakes in Korea, right? He's telling you right now, basically, that this update, right, Big Kahuna Lost Ark patch, I love that, that's what it's titled. He's basically telling you that they're finally changing the homework, and it's in your version of the game that you're getting it sooner than they got it. They had to deal with the absolute bullshit for 3 years, and you guys are getting this way faster than they did. It's just, I've never seen a more ungrateful community, sometimes, is all I'm trying to get at. And I really love his videos because he's never ungrateful. He's the guy who told us back in the day that Clown could be done with one engraving. He has been trying to stop the gatekeeping and the bullshit since the beginning, and that's why I've always liked his channel, is because he's never rode the wave. He's always kind of set his own piece on it, and there's something to be said about that. So,
the most important patch Lost Ark has done in 3 years since Season 2 hit.
3 years!
Why is it so important? Because it's the first patch that actually has begun to address homework fatigue. Whether it's related to daily homeworks or weekly homework.
Also, I was going to make a video on how Lost Ark's the only MMO, finally an MMO that respects your time, like Asmongold and Stoops, but the reality is mine was going to be positive, talking about how this is actually a game that does respect your time. If you take a month to 2 to 3 month breaks, you come back and there's a catch-up mechanic. Like, this actually is a game that does respect your time, and I have an alternate account that I'm going to be playing on, I think, in the future or soon, and I was actually thinking about making a one-character account where I prove that. But yeah, so I just... Boy, does this game respect your time. It's not even funny.
Homework is the very first one that has actively sought to reduce the actual playtime that players are spending doing monotonous, tedious stuff. So, we'll start from the top of the patch and work our way down. And we're going to start with the most important things first. Chaos Dungeon and Guardian Raids. We'll start with Guardian Raids because this one's quicker. Guardian Raids, they have reduced the amount that you need to do from 2 to 1, and doubled the loot. So you are quite literally spending half the amount of time doing it. That being said, they have kept rest in, and rest works the same way. You don't do it, it fills up half a bar. And when you do a rested run, it uses up 1 full bar. And since there's 5 bars, what this essentially means
is this
if
concept
you are
was
empty on rest, you can actually rest 10 days straight.
Because that's what I try to do for you guys. I try to break down exactly how you can implement this into your day-to-day life. He's telling you can go 10 days without playing. 10 days without playing. And I'm sure there's some idiosyncrasies where a real mathematician can take this apart and really find the accuracies and efficiency ways to do this. But, like, this is glorious. Glorious. Absolutely glorious.
without overcapping the bar. So yeah, as a byproduct of this, I did some party finder runs of Guardian Raid, and it felt weird to leave after just one run, but everyone was on board with it. And I also tried matchmaking, and to my surprise, more people were willing to matchmake now that you only have to do one. I found parties extremely fast, and it seems that because you don't have to matchmake and then matchmake again, people don't really mind as much if it takes a little bit longer if you end up with a scuffed party through matchmaking because you're only doing one run and you're done for the day. And so that was very nice to see. And that's it for Guardian Raids, but it's so simple and yet it works. But we're going to come back to that in a second because let's get to Chaos Dungeon. Chaos Dungeon went through a lot more changes. Now, you still have to do 2 Chaos Dungeons a day, and I know there's got to be at least a few people that are wondering, why did they reduce the one that's more interesting?
He doesn't answer this the way that I would have answered this, because again, I've already watched this far. I was like 8 minutes into the video, but the reason, part of why they didn't reduce the Chaos Dungeons is it's like, so there's a guy that made a video recently talking about the gold. He gets into this, talking about the gold breakdown of the different pieces of content that you can do and how Chaos Dungeons is like 40 or 50% of it, basically. What I wanted to say is, in that video, I never commented on it. I commented something positive because that's who I am, but I really did want to add a caveat to that when he was doing it, was that there's a lot of value in just the raw resources themselves. When it comes to the game, I don't think it's 40% of the resources that you produce. I actually think Chaos Dungeons are more 60-70% of the resources that you can produce on your account. And those are BS numbers, right? He had real numbers, but I don't think 40% was accurate when it comes to resources produced. Food for thought. So the reason why they're not reducing this down to 1 is because it's not about you have to do 2 a day. It's that you have to do a day. It's the mentality of the players look at it wrong. And it's, yeah, so I'm not going to get into that. And I know a lot of people are going to say that they could cut it down to 1 and then it would be the same concept, but no, it would break the game in a way, because then I would do all my alts rested. It would encourage you to just make a bunch of alts, and that's kind of what it's doing anyways with the Guardians, but it's better to keep the Chaos Dungeons the way that they are, and just make it quicker for you to get through them, because then it means that you can just do 1 instead of doing 2.
Interesting, but you still have to do 2 with a less interesting one. Well,
Says
true.
you.
However,
Chaos Dungeons can be done
hear
while
me
I do
out
anything.
first. The changes that they made to Chaos Dungeon are insane. Which mob spawn
Didn't
is
want to
way
make you watch an
faster,
ad.
as in like them popping in. Their movement speed is faster, so they run to you faster. Their aggro range is basically the full map now, so if you're standing in the center of the
That's
map,
huge.
it'll aggro you from
Huge.
any
That's
distance
huge.
now and move to you quickly
Most
with that
fucking
increased
annoying
movement
part.
speed. So no more shitty Rohendel or Vern map where you go around
All
collecting
the way.
mobs. They will
Yeah.
aggro you right away.
Yep.
And their attack ranges have been reduced as well, so mobs that would attack you from a little bit further away, they have to get even closer to you now.
Yeah,
so
less
they kinda
potion
pump up
usage and
zerg
stuff
you
too.
a bit more. And this is going to be the most important thing, is you have full super armor in Chaos Dungeon.
Yeah, that is
Just
huge.
like
Not being able to be knocked
no
on your
more
ass
getting
every 10
flinched,
seconds.
no more getting knocked down. And
Or yeah,
it's
he's
just
right.
so many people.
I accidentally paused the clip instead. But he's actually right on that. That the flinch, not even just a knockdown, but the flinch cancels animation. So for like a character like a Sork or something like that, where you have to wait like 20 seconds to get your fucking skill back, that's a problem. You know, and I know that the Chaos Dungeons build and the raid build, but the point that I'm getting at here is, in this regard, he's actually, like, this is a really good point to make. Because there's nothing worse than getting flinched and then your ability gets fucking canceled and now you have to wait a whole rotation to, and not in a Chaos Dungeon at least, it's just stupid.
And just make Chaos Dungeon that much more infuriating, and now it's gone. It's also a bit more linear, and through my testing, I found that Chaos Dungeon would just end a little bit sooner than expected in the 3rd room, and it's a little bit more of a straight line now in the 3rd room, and it's just a little bit faster.
He did what I
so
do.
my
When you
fastest
move
pace
and your
of
whole
doing a
fucking
Chaos
desk
Dungeon
shakes.
run now and just doing it regularly was just over 2 minutes for one run, which was pretty insane. So that's all fine and dandy, but you're still doing 2 of them, right? And if I told you, hey, you know, your Chaos Dungeons are about 25 to 35% faster than what they were before, it's like, okay, that's great. But let me add a kicker. They added a new piece of loot. And before I actually get into that, let me just preface one, mobs in Chaos Dungeon just regularly drop cards now up to purple rarity. They'll just drop it, regular old mobs, and can be any card from any region. And two, red and gold portals were removed.
That's also huge. I figure I'm just going to work out while I also react to this. But that's also huge. The fact that we're going to get cards now, it's going to help a lot of the card problem that I talked about. It's going to alleviate that on a massive level for the newer players and all players, really.
Then you're probably thinking, wait, why is that a good thing? Well, in a previous live stream, they talked about how red and portals accounted for
the red gold
of
portals.
Gold generated.
Okay, actually, this is something I wanted to talk about. This is why I stopped the video. He's about to talk the 3 to 4%. He's saying whatever the hell the percent was. He just said like 2 to 3% or 5%, whatever it is, that the gold portals and the boss portals and chaos dungeons make up for. I.e., what they're trying to get at overall there is that it's not efficient. That it's just kind of dumb for the time that you're spending in it. You're not really getting a reward that is based on that time that you're spending, right? So what this looks like, and I'm sure that they never watch my video, which sucks, but what it does look like is that the developers are finally understanding what the problem was. It's not that the spectrum wasn't good. It's that they didn't really know the farm rates themselves. Like, they didn't actually know what percentage of time needed to be spent where to get the most value out of somebody's playtime. And it looks like they finally took a look at it, and they looked at these systems and they said, well, this doesn't make any sense. Like, we can have them go do this for less time and get more rewards, then why would they even choose to do this? So what it looks like is they're actually doing an overall balance. And they're scaling things, finally, in a way that actually makes sense. And what I guess what I mean by that is, like, because he's going to get to the next part about what they give you in return, they're finally understanding the math, and they're doing what needs to be done, which is tell you the math. This is 3%. If you do all of this unrested versus rested, this is how much you will produce in this time period. This is how much a percent of your production on your account compared to the other things, essentially. So like what that one guy did in his video, but he shouldn't have to do that in a video. They should be doing that as the developers, telling you, like, again, this Chaos Engine is going to produce 40 to 60% of your resources overall if you do it unrested, essentially. So what he's about to talk about is probably one of the most, why I stopped right here, was the most important part of this video to me so far, and I haven't watched the rest of it, is the fact that the developers are finally breaking into their own math, their own system, and figuring out where shit just doesn't make sense. Like, it doesn't add up why you would have it there, or how it's inefficient, or how it's actually just a colossal fucking waste of our time in some ways. And I think that's why Guardian Raids got reduced to 1, was not because Chaos Dungeons are more boring, or because Guardians are more boring, or whatever the case is, or the efficiency, maybe even that, like what I said earlier with the fact that the Chaos gives you the majority of the resources, but it's also got a huge play to do with the party finding system. I think a massive reason why they did Guardian Raids is you don't party find a Chaos Dungeon, you do it alone, so doing 2 of them back to back isn't that big of a deal. Trying to find 2 consecutive groups, or hoping that everybody uses battle items, or hoping that everybody's not a cheapo or AFKing, causes a lot of problems in the matchmaking sometimes. So just, food for thought. But again, the point that I'm making here is that the developers seem to finally be understanding their math, and they're delivering it to the player base finally, so we can get a better understanding on how to plan out our day-to-days, our week-to-weeks, and our months-to-months. And he talks a lot about the math in this, which is huge. That 10-day concept with the rest, like, these things are very important when you're trying to plan long-term and around a schedule, a regular fucking life schedule. So
in Lost Ark in the community. And they also talked about how it just sucked to get red and gold portals, either because it just didn't feel rewarding or it took up time. So they removed red and gold portals, and they've introduced a new piece of loot called Fragments of Destiny. And the Fragments of Destiny
I actually love this part,
are a really cool thing.
especially when he talks about
They
the
can
gold
drop
amount that
from
they get.
mobs in Chaos Dungeon. They can drop from souls in Guardian Raid, and if you're rested, the chance of them appearing is higher, of course, to compensate for you doing it rested. And it drops as this golden beacon of giga loot. If you've ever played an ARPG like Diablo or Path of Exile, you might be familiar with, like, when a really big drop appears and it's just like this flashing beacon. And it's got this gold text in the tooltip, and it's the Fragment of Destiny, and when you pick it, it picks from a random thing from
Loot
this
pool.
pool of loot, and everything in the Fragment of Destiny is useful. You can get card packs.
Oh, he said selection pack. Oh,
There's selectors
gonna let him talk.
of any rarity, and you can get legendary as well.
I'm a little bit
RPC,
beyond this.
boxes that have a shit ton of materials in them. Our friend Wine
Meaning
Blue
like
got a box and it had about
video wise.
16,000 gold worth of relevant materials in it.
Yeah, like another minute
Straight
in.
up silver or straight up gold, with the highest box appearing to be 100,000 gold
It's
that
crazy.
you can get.
It's crazy.
And frame of reference, I did all my daily.
And it's not crazy because of the 100,000 gold peak. He did list that, but that will actually be like a scarce thing. It'll be like the relic map for the Chaos Rifts, right? That's not really what you should plan around. But the fact that the average person is going to get a random 10 to 30k gold drop more frequently, most likely, that's massive. And again, it ties into the point that I just made in my economy video about how their concept, their model, which again I still think is a flawed model, and I'd really love to work for them because I could change shit before they hit problems in the future, but because they're going to have to change shit again, and they don't even know that. But this model of continuous climbing economy is actually the same problem with the global economy, the world economy, the inflationary concept. Like, it's actually the exact same problem that we have in our real economy. And it's just dumb. It's a really bad strategy, in my opinion, for a lot of different reasons. But it's not, and it is, and that's a whole different conversation for a different time. But the reality of it is that it feeds into literally what I just talked about how they're basically opening up the top, making things cost more, but also just flooding you with more. So giving you more resources, but making resources cost more. It's the same thing they do with the damage in this game. It's like they just keep jacking the damage up, and then they just increase the boss's health bar. Again, it is a bad model because your numbers are going to get weird code-wise and script-wise eventually. You're going to have a hard time with this the further you keep going on this pathway. And that's a direct message to Smilegate if you ever get a chance to hear that, because it's a fact.
I got 7 fragments of destiny, and from that I got 2 purple selectors with cards
7 fragments.
1 million silver, a box of 20.
Again, all of this is math.
And a 10,000 gold bar, so 30,000 gold. And that is freaking insane. Albert, or ATK from...
And again, they're in a version of the game where it's like, what? Granted, we're right behind them, and somebody said the other day that we're not, but no, we really kind of are. We're at their third piece of content. We're at their third piece of content. And we're going to consistently be at their third piece of content. And pretty soon we'll be at their second piece of content. Like, no, actually, we're right there behind them. We're on their heels now. You know what I mean? And just to put this in perspective, they're getting this update, and we're going to be getting it sooner than they got it. So by the time we get it in our version of the game, it'll be more applicable and more rewarding than it was for them.
Guardian raid runs from the soul. He got a fragment of destiny and had 50,000 gold in it. Isn't that wild?
Yeah, it is wild.
Apparently, they mentioned that they would like the gold generated from these fragments of chaos to amount to 5% or so of the total gold accrued from the community. And I gotta say,
again, numbers.
Exciting.
They fucking know. That's my point. I don't know. Maybe they did get a hold of my shit, or maybe not. Maybe they just finally realized what the problem was and somebody told them. But it would be nice if I got, like, some credit. Like, come on, Smilegate. Give me a break. Give me a break. Give me a fucking job. And I will totally be the same horrible person that I probably am working for you, but I'll give you an honest opinion and honest critic. Hire me as a temporary one-off contract or something.
And one of those drops.
I don't care.
I don't know how to describe it, but when I played Path of Exile or Diablo, I would have people come into my chat and say, isn't this an infinite chaos dungeon? Why is this fun? Do you think infinite chaos is fun? And I'm like, no, of course. But the thing about PoE and Diablo is there was a chance that you would get loot that was relevant to your progression, that was interesting and exciting. Lost Ark, well, actually, the stuff that you get from your dailies, they had pretty good value for the time that you put in. However, it was boring. It was so boring. It was just these materials, and the Fragments of Destiny is just so much more exciting. Getting a red portal and getting like 600 or 700 gold, that's boring. That's gonna get you like a tenth of a tab, but getting a Fragment of Destiny and it dropping like 10,000 gold, now that's exciting. So now those appear in Chaos Dungeon, now those appear in Guardian Raid, and it just makes it something to look forward to. Almost to the point where it almost feels like dailies give too much, and I am all for that. And I know that there's got to be some people who are like, oh, but now...
No, and before you... I haven't watched this far. Again, 8 minutes in. It's better. Here's why it's better. This is exactly what I talked about in my video way back in the day. It is better to have a massive overhead and have overachieving players. Because again, even if you have overachieving players, they can only go so far. 24 characters at 1650. That's the cap. That's it. So even an overachieved player can still only go so far, and overachieving players are still good for the economy in the game because their alts will be playing with people who are more at that eye level. They can go backwards and help people. This isn't a problem. Having a large overhead of what you actually need to obtain that next milestone is the best thing they can do for the game, and that's why I kept telling them to extend the time period between content, but also boosting the resources the same effect. I don't like the boosted resources effect. I actually like the extended time period. That's just me. But you know what? I'm all for it. I'm still positively thinking about this. I love this regardless.
Worse, because now you feel like you gotta do your homework. Well, I mean, you can't have your cake and eat it. Do you want dailies that are worth nothing, or do you want dailies that are actually rewarding you for the time that you're putting into it? Okay.
You just said it. You don't have to play every day. First off, you didn't have to play every day anyways, and go check out my fucking videos. I don't care, right? Check my channel, hit like, comment, subscribe. You will learn through my journey over the last year, if you go watch some of my older videos, that I have never played the game religiously every single day, other than like the first couple months that the game came out. It's not needed. It was never needed. You guys were always just delusional about it. You always thought that you needed to have this excessive amount of playtime to be decent at the game or to get to a higher standpoint. Yes, to have 20 plus characters, you do need to spend money and play an excessive amount. But to have a roster of 6 with one main at eye level, nah, you probably could have played 10 to 20 hours a week.
Don't have that piece of shit mentality. It is a piece of shit mentality. Let people enjoy things, and having chaos dungeons that feel good to do, having guardian raids that are quick in and out, nice and seamless, and getting good rewards for it. I mean, that's nice. It makes it feel like you can enjoy it and actually make some meaningful progression on your character. So that changes to Guardians and Chaos. Normally, if I was doing all of them on every third day on 7 characters, I'd be looking at 3 to 4 hours of dailies. But I would surmise that this change has given me back probably upwards of an hour, hour and a half, which is fantastic.
He's very well spoken, for one, and 2, he understands it. He knows exactly what he needs to teach people, and he's teaching people. He's telling you right now that this is what he's doing, this is what he's getting, this is what he's spending time-wise, and this is what they gave him back with this update. This is phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal. And I love the Low On podcast too, and I have raw footage of that still that I might actually upload of me reacting to it. It's just my next video after that was me just repeating what I had reacted, right? So
that's an hour and a half.
This is beautiful.
Sooner you can log out the game,
beautiful.
Play something else, or go do other activities, or go do horizontal content. And I mean, let's move on to the next subject. They added a new content to the game, Extreme Valtan. So Extreme Valtan is basically a recycling of Valtan, and again, some people who come from other MMOs, they might be like, great about recycling content. Every MMO does that. If anything, it's boring and lazy design. Lost Ark normally doesn't recycle content, and it's a damn
true.
shame.
It kills their content
that are really well made. They drop out of relevancy, and you never do them again. Valtan is a raid which.
It's also a shame to the developers. You're burning assets. Period. I've said that for a long time. This is the only game I've ever seen that kills off like half their more than half their assets. If you look at the tier 3 Guardians up, that's half of the game. Tier 1 and 2 was dead a long time ago. Like, I've never seen a game take full-blown models, character models, assets, attack patterns, and designs and completely remove them from the game. Like, I think that's terrible decision making, terrible efficiency.
Raid series, and I would say it's still to this day the best designed raid. And I missed doing it, but there was no reason for me to do it outside of occasionally doing it in Hell mode because it wasn't really giving much, and I wasn't going to use one of my raid lockouts for it. So now, here's Extreme Valtan. Scaled up, normal extreme is 1580, hard extreme is 1620, and
no way, yo, 1580's turning out to be the spot, dude. I'm about to have a video confirming that I was right before.
From Hell mode, and they kind of sprinkled it in. So now you have a unequalized content that has some Hell mode specific mechanics in it, except the patterns themselves are survivable. They don't do too much damage, so you're doing a little bit of extra mechs, but it's still pretty lenient at the same time. Hard mode had 76 billion HP, which is a pretty reasonable amount of health.
He knows the numbers well.
As long as everyone survived, it worked out actually quite well.
Like, he knows the numbers really well.
And I just had so much fun. I hadn't done Valtan in over a year, and to get to revisit it on a juiced up character that didn't have to hold back and got to do all the max while also damaging in between the max. It felt nice. It felt refreshing. And here's the kicker on that: you only have to do it once every other week, and it gives rewards, and the rewards are really good. So it's once per
Like,
roster,
comment,
every
subscribe,
other week,
said
so
this
you'll
months
only
ago.
do it
Bang,
once.
bang.
You pick a character, and it doesn't eat up a gold lockout on that character, so it's an extra content. You can still do your 3 raids on that week on that character. The rewards have a ton of materials in them, like an absolute truck ton. It's like 75,000 shards, 200 leap stones, and this is for hard mode. Normal mode has different rewards, and also just 15,000 raw gold, which is good.
Perspective, it's a great piece of content, like the weekly Abyss dungeons and stuff that we have with the card packs and stuff. It's a lot for the time period that you put into it, but you can only do it once a week. Same thing with this. 275,000 is really not a lot when you think about it over a period of 2 weeks. It's not. It's not. But it is a lot for thinking that you're only doing one piece of content to get that. So in that regard, it is a lot. It's good for your time value, but it's not actually a lot for the piece of content over 2 weeks. But it's very good for your time value. It's actually still very good. I just wanted to point that out to everybody, that, like, perspective-wise, it's good because it's every 2 weeks. If it was a part of your normal shit, it would actually be pretty bad.
Voldyke, our current endgame abyssal dungeon, for frame of reference, is a 14,000 gold raid for 4 gates. So Extreme Valtan doesn't eat up a raid lockout, 15,000 gold every other week. Not bad, not too shabby for Valtan. But the mats is where it's at. There's also a first clear reward, which has a Valtan card, a random legendary card, some silver, and also a level 5 tripod selector that is roster wide that you can store and use on a rainy day on a character that needs it. Very good, with another point that we're going to cover.
So now my only problem with the game is when you're going to give us more character slots than 24.
It doesn't seem that it's going to be here forever. It seems to have a deadline of September 13th, which makes me wonder if they're going to cycle it with like an extreme Vicus by that point.
Smart
or
man.
Something. But
this
I
man
really
think
hope
ahead.
That,
he's smart.
Continue with this trend.
I love this
it
guy.
Is such a nice extra content. And with all this time that people get back,
although Extreme Vicus would
now
suck.
They're trying this. The boss's HP is question marked out. It's doing Hellmex. Now people might do this, and they're already now 1 foot in the door in doing Hell mode. Maybe now with the extra time, they might actually try Hell mode, because statistically, about 95% of our player base, no matter.
I'm sorry if this video is going to be so long, but I said that a long time ago too. By opening up the time frame, by doing this, it's not even necessarily that people aren't going to play the game more or go play something else, which they could. It's the fact that now there's so many things in the game that people want to do, like sideways content, that they can't do because they're stuck on this journey, this train ride that they can't get off of if they want to try to relatively keep up. I love all of this.
No matter what region you're in, doesn't do Hell mode, because they either don't have time or they don't want to, learn the mechs. But now you can basically learn the mechs in a training mode, essentially unequalized, while getting great rewards out of it at the same time. Oh, one more thing. Because this is a bit harder than usual, undoubtedly people will get jailed in Gate 2. Well, because the rewards are all at the end of the raid, as in you have to do the full raid to get the rewards, there's no reward at the end of Gate 1. You have to complete Gate 2. They kind of anticipated people might get jailed, so what they essentially did is they added a button. And if you get jailed in Gate 2 and your party disbands, the button resets your progress in Gate 1.
Oh my god! Oh my god! First off, now the developers are even thinking of problems ahead, which is like... Everybody like, comment, subscribe, go to this fucking video, blast this video through the Reddits. Like, come on, this is phenomenal. Let's get positive vibe moving. Let's get players to come back to the fucking game, right? Like, oh my god. Oh my god, is that a great concept? Oh my god, like... Oh my god, I know they can't do that for other raids, or can't yet, right? But like, whoa, what a great, like, foresight.
So now you can join a new Gate 1 party, because there's a lot of those, but there's not nearly as many jailed parties that are starting from Gate 2, which is fantastic. The game used to actually be like that back in the day, where all the rewards were only after the last gate, and there were no checkpoints, so it was very all or nothing. You either completed the full raid, or you got nothing out of it and wasted your time. And people would like leave their characters logged into the raid and stuff like that, and reconvene after sleep and all that crap. But honestly, that kind of button could actually be pretty useful in regular contents. Reset your progress, but you don't get loot. It would definitely contribute to busing, which could be a problem as well. But it's not too
It could be
shabby
tweaked.
of an idea.
It's not, and it could be tweaked.
I think that's one of the lesser problems of the game in general, like getting jailed and being stuck and not being able to finish the raid for the week. But it's still food for thought. So Extreme Valtan, really great content. I got to go with my Thamine party, or most of my Thamine party, and it was just a hoot and holler. Just so much fun, just people messing around and having a blast doing
Oh
it.
fuck, I forgot we have
It was
Thamine.
just so nice to revisit
Actually,
the content that
so technically Thamine, or Voldyke, Thamine, Akan, Brel, right? So or Kyangel, actually, hold up. Voldyke, Thamine, or whatever, Thamine, Voldyke, whatever it is, Akan, Kyangel. So we're at the 4th piece of content, we're getting the 3rd piece of content. If we're lucky, we'll get to the 2nd piece of content before they get their next piece of content.
that I hadn't done in a long time, which I regarded as a really good raid. So Extreme Valtan, great. Let's talk about some of the quality of life stuff. So Ocean Liner, first thing. Ocean Liner is the thing that you use to go from continent to continent. They've been updating the Ocean Liner regularly, like making it so that it only takes like 10 seconds or less. Well, they added a new quality of life to Ocean Liners yet again.
Instant.
I don't know why they keep doing this, but I'm not going to complain. They made it so that you can board the Ocean Liner from no matter where you are in the world. So you can be at like a field boss location, kill the field boss. You want to go to another area because a wandering merchant appeared or something like that. You can just do that from where you're standing. You don't have to go to the dock and get onto the boat and then travel. Speaking of wandering merchants,
Shaves time.
The best quality of life,
especially for low pings
has been
and shit.
added in this patch.
Dungeon.
Wandering merchants,
Unis.
they stay for 5.5 hours now, and they have greatly expanded inventories of loot to account for that. So in any given region, a wandering merchant can appear twice.
I just want to say one more time, the best version of the game that we have ever been delivered, and y'all quit, and most of you quit. Don't you feel stupid now? Like, that's the point in sacrificing and struggle in the beginning. Like, you need to sacrifice and struggle in the beginning. That phone game I used to play, we spent way more money than the people were spending when the Chinese got the servers. And they were getting what we got for, like, a fraction of the cost. That's how it works. It's just life, right? Get over it. It's that Simon concept again. Y'all quit. I think it's some funny fucking shit because you quit at the best version of the game that we've ever gotten. And it's only going to get better.
Wandering merchants, they refresh every 6 hours.
Pow, 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 pow. Like, let's go.
2 of those hours, a merchant might not appear in a certain region, but it'll appear at least twice a day. And what this means is, let's say a legendary card spawns, you're at work, well, you can't be there in time. Instead of
I got like 6 videos recorded.
to get to this
I'm just going to fucking upload the raw footage.
5.5 hours to get to them to somehow get their loot, which is just so much better. And me, as like a casual wandering merchant, person who would just go at it occasionally, you know, even if I only visit these merchants once a day, they've got a huge stock. I'm getting.
Dude, you know what's funny? Again, MMO that respects your time, because now they're basically saying, like, if you're a player that has a busy work schedule or a busy life or something like that, you're a fucking adult and you have a regular lifestyle, right? That in the time period you play, all these things can be happening at a rate that's actually applicable to you. So, like, my 2.5 days a week method that I play, I mean, look at how much that they just gave me in 2.5 days. Look at how much I can get done now in 2.5 days. Like, this is glorious.
Basically,
glorious.
Worth of stock in a single visit, which
fucking
is
love
phenomenal. If I'm not planning on going on every single visit, as was before.
I'm fucking.
Meet your next pillow. Why do we make our pillow in the shape of a cube? I'll tell you.
Fuck you.
That's not.
Although the cube pillow thing looks
now,
cool.
when you open up the map and you expand the map all the way outwards, there is a wandering merchant icon on any continent that has a wandering merchant.
What a quality of life.
Better. You click on that continent.
But it gets better.
The icon is on the region in that continent that's currently at. But it gets better than that. You click on the region and the wandering merchant icon is there. It's not hidden anymore. You don't have to be near it. It always shows now, so you know the exact location at all times.
But wait, there's more.
If you hover over the wandering merchant icon in any given area,
to tell you the stuff.
It tells you everything that they're selling without you actually having to go there. So this is insane.
Is there more?
It's so good because
for $9.95.
merchants is just something that so many people, especially new players, aren't really aware of. And it's so important because they literally just updated Wandering Merchants so that you can get more cards from before. More LOS cards are available through Wandering Merchants. The full deep dive set is available through Wandering Merchants, so now new players can actually get a good card set without any RNG involved. And let's talk about the new player experience a little bit, because this is something that's been talked about to death. And there's something that happened recently that just nobody is talking about, which is amazing because we're talking about the new player experience to death, but nobody's talking about this one thing that they did, which I thought was fucking brilliant.
So say it.
Which some other games do, and it's just like I can't believe they didn't do it sooner. When you're a new player and you get the Hyper Express now, and you assign the Hyper Express to your new character as a new player, right? You get one character, you assign the Hyper Express. You're just starting your adventure in Lost Ark. It tells you, hey, are you interested in this playstyle or this playstyle? And the playstyles are the class engravings. And if you pick one of them,
Oh wow.
it preloads
A
a
build.
kit of skills with the correct tripods, the
Yep,
correct
that's a great idea.
stats, the correct engravings,
I
which
don't-
is 5x3. So
I don't like that he said correct stats. I hate that. I still hate that endurance, expertise, and domination are dead stats in this game. And developers, please, within the next year, fix that. Please, within the next year, make a focus on the stats. Just giving us more variety of builds. Like, the shit's getting old. I'm so tired of seeing those 3 stats pop up. Did you do it just to give us jewelry odds? Is that why? Because if we didn't have them, we would all get jewelry we always want? Maybe that's what it is. Is it to dilute the pool? Because in that case, it totally makes sense. You need garbage, otherwise everything would be good, right? So, fine, if that's the case. But yeah, I do hate that he said correct stats.
for engravings, by the way, now, and gems allocated to the correct skills. You basically have a ready-to-go
Although it is true.
build. The moment you start the game as a new player, you don't have to go and research it.
I'm nitpicking.
You're ready to just take this
Right.
thing for a joyride and actually start to learn it without having to like finagle a build together. It's incredible. Because
That is
between
incredible.
this and the Wandering Merchants just appearing in game and easily noticeable and easily accessible and being able to work on cards and everything, as a new player, you have such a much better experience without having to go to some other resource, like Axroll or Invent or whatever the case may be. It's just such a smoother experience. And then the Hyper Express.
Oh,
is
he's
so much
actually,
more-
you know, he has a good point with what he just said there, actually, because this is now the developers giving you stats that they believe are the right way to go, etc. And again, I have a problem with that. I really fucking do. But that's fine. That's a different caveat, different thing, right? But regardless, he's right. This isn't some player making this up. This is the developer saying that we believe that this is the best way to play the character. That's crazy. That's intriguing. Like, for so many reasons, because no game's ever done that. No game has ever done that. Told you that this is the route we believe you should be taking with your character.
more EXP now, so getting to level 55 is easier. They have honing support now, so honing is
That's
quite a bit
huge.
nicer when it
Combat.
comes to those early levels. And when you're starting off, you get double loot now from raid materials, so now getting your set bonuses is so much faster. Clown took 3 weeks, and I'm done with full level 2 set. And even tripods, one of the most annoying and hated things. They recently rolled out an update where you get 8 level 4 tripods and 2 level 5 tripods on every single character from the exchange merchants from the raids. Hyper Express gives a few level 5s. Extreme Valtan gives a level 5. You get basically out the gate.
Let's hope that doesn't get nerfed, but I gotta be honest with you, that's kind of fucking padded. Like, that's a little padded, in my opinion. But hey, I ain't complaining, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's... You know what, though? Actually, can I say something? And I gotta make the prediction now. I gotta make the prediction now, because it's who I am, right? I like to show you guys that I can see the future. My prediction now, and this is the God's honest truth, right? What they're doing is kind of what I said in the Chinese servers being the savior of Korea video, is they're prepping us for Tier 4. They're prepping us for Tier 4. They're giving us the end game, basically. Not for free, but very easy. Because what they're doing is they're hoping that they get China caught up to Korea really quickly. In the next year, we'll also be relatively caught up to them. And then, bam, Tier 4 hits all of us at the same time. I could be wrong. I may be wrong. But remember that I said it here first. And all 230 of you beautiful people saw me say it here first. So, thanks for tuning in and supporting me. Just a quick shout out. And yeah, that's my prediction. They're gearing us for Tier 4. And it could be a year, but that's what's happening. That's literally what we're watching right now, is a Tier 4 is on the way. So I do feel bad for anybody who's got all level 10s or is just now going for their level 10s. But maybe they'll make that easier too. But this is interesting.
You almost have a full kit of 18 skills worth of tripods at level 4 or higher from the very get-go with no RNG, and that is outrageous. So now
For somebody who plays a lot of alts,
on cards, they've got most of their tripods without any RNG, and now they just got to work a little bit more on that. They got a ready-to-go kit. The Hyper Express gives them level 7 gems right out the gate, the possibility of higher, and just like there's more accessible materials and more exciting loot from dailies. Loot excitement is just such an important thing. So it really wows me because honestly, this patch didn't have so much in it, but the stuff that it did have was just
quality.
so meaningful.
Quality
and
over
it's
quantity.
Just like stuff that it's so long overdue. And I know there's got to be at least a few people that are watching this, and it's like, oh, too little, too late. They should have done this a while ago.
Those
but
are stupid people.
I'd say better late than never, because I hate to see the game roll over and die once it starts losing players. That is a pathetic look.
Yeah.
That leads to the game eventually sunsetting and shutting down. Now, I like a game that has a comeback story. BDO, Maple Story, games that flopped in some way, shape, or form, weren't that popular, made the right changes, and then succeeded. And those games that succeeded
fucking jacked
recently,
right now.
that made
Fucking
people
pumped.
realize that Lost Ark was doing a
I want to get in the game. I want to grind.
Lost Ark, that kicked
Let's go.
Gates' asses, put them into high gear, and actually started implementing
And they
some
stepped
real
the fuck
meaningful
up.
changes that players have been asking for a long time.
And the people who stayed
So,
and survived
yeah.
are going to be rewarded
Better
for the
late
time
than
that they
never.
put in.
Could things be better? Yeah, of course. Chaos Dungeon could be one.
Fucking life
room.
could be
They
better.
haven't
Get over
addressed
it.
Una's tasks yet.
Everything
I'm a
could be better.
proponent for removing
Humanity
daily
could be
Unas.
better. Get over it.
Daily Unas, I think, are the biggest
Whiny ass
thing for
generation.
content. Chaos Dungeon, at least you're mowing down mobs, guardians. It's slightly different every time, especially depending on who you're playing with. But Unas, it's the same 3 NPCs you're talking about, the same 4 or 5 loading screens. It's the same every time. And yeah, it's like, oh, but it only takes 1 minute and you get good rewards. Yeah, but
right.
if it didn't exist, no one would care. No one would be any the wiser that it was gone, and just relocate the rewards into weekly Unas, which are currently pathetic. Nobody cares about them, and it doesn't feel good to redeem the rewards for weekly Unas.
Which means they need to be
Now,
adjusted.
Instead of getting 100 leap stones a week from daily Unas, how about we get some weekly Unas that give like 30 to 40 leap stones each instead? Take 3 of them, you still get the same amount of leap stones.
I'm going to pause here because I'm going to say something that I hope he doesn't say. If he does, it's cool. I said it as I'm watching it, right? Halo back in the day had this thing like weekly challenges, and then what would happen is after you completed those weekly challenges, they would actually just give you more weekly challenges. So I think if they increase the difficulty of the weekly challenges, or maybe have the first batch be semi-simple and then increase in difficulty, but just keep feeding you weekly challenges, but increasing the difficulty of the challenge and giving you more rewards, that would be a cool concept to implement. Especially because, again, we've already seen it in a game, so that means it's easily implementable because it's already been done in development. So it's just a matter of applying it to your game. So again, fuck, dude, I wish I was a more popular content creator. I really do, because I mean, anybody can do what I'm saying. Actually, that's the thing, right? So I'm sure he'll get to it eventually, I think. But yeah, so Halo already did it. Take it and steal it.
But it feels much nicer redeeming that, doesn't it? You don't have to waste your time bifrosting around the world doing the same thing every day on 6 different characters 18 times, right? I hate Una's task. You can keep reputations. You can do daily Unas through reputations, and then the reputation's done and it's grayed out and you never do it again. The reputations have some useful stuff in them, but the main focus should be the weekly Unas. And I think if they made weekly Unas better, got rid of daily Unas, maybe spruced up Chaos Dungeon just a touch more.
My ticket concept wouldn't work
I would
anymore.
argue that Lost Ark would have some of the best dailies in an MMO in general. After all that.
And that's the thing, that's the real overbearing concept here. And I know we got 20 minutes left, so I'm going to try to just let this play. But whatever, I knew this was going to be a long video for me, whatever. Watch it in pieces. That's really the part that I've been trying to get across. Is like Lost Ark. I played a lot of MMOs, just like all of you, and Lost Ark is right there. It's right there. It is so close to being not the perfect MMO, but the best MMO we've actually ever gotten between the combat, the loot system, and the way that it works, honing upwards, and the pity system. Like it's so close to being in the story. First off, is one of the best stories that we've ever gotten in an MMO, but it is so close, so close to being that great MMO, the best MMO in my opinion. And that's why I've been hooked on it since day one. And it's fucking right there. It's right there. It's right there, and it needs some positive vibe for one, but.
And so, it's made such a big stride in the right direction. I really want to see them make more strides. And they're working on weekly homeworks too. They're going to be removing the first gate from K-Angle. They're going to be removing 2 or more gates from Brelshaza.
I don't like that.
Keeping the rewards from
the Brelshaza removals, yeah. But I don't. I like every gate. I think every gate is amazing, and I think Gate 1 is amazing, and I hate that they're going to remove it, because I think they're fun. I really do think they're fun, and I just think that you should design the raids in the future with that in mind instead, than to take away from the old raids, because there's some of us that do love the old raids and the way that they're designed. So
them as is, but you know, these are long form raids where people are tired of doing them. They're overgearing them, but they're still dying. These people are.
You need to take. Okay, so I had to take that phone call.
Being reckless and getting everyone else killed, and when you die on your own, it's not so bad because you realize you made a mistake. You do better next time. When someone else gets you killed, it's very frustrating. And in most other MMOs, I would say that when you die, usually it's of your own fault, or it's from a failure in the party. Like, oh, the tank died because the healer didn't heal him. Now the boss is aggroed on DPS because of DPS. It's like, okay, sure, fair enough. But Lost Ark is riddled with mechanics that can cause another person to get you killed, all the way up to Brel. Fortunately, after Brel, most raids, if someone dies, they die alone, and they don't drag you down with them. But it's still annoying, and so it's a fatiguing thing. They're reducing the gates from these because while Brel was really cool when it was 6 gates when it first came out, nowadays it's a slog. I don't like doing it. I only do it in Hell mode, which, by the way, I should mention this. I completed Deathless Hell Brel. I went with a West.
Quick pause. This is just a petty dig like I usually add in these videos. That kid that said, "Oh, we don't want to," and I'll probably nah. I don't want to do any edits for this, but like, there was a kid that commented. He was like, "We don't want to be doing Brels for 5 months to 6 months like they were." First off, it's already almost been 5 months. As a matter of fact, it has been 5 months. So congratulations, you've been doing hard Brel for like 5 months. But then in addition to that, you've already been doing it. You're going to be doing hard Brel because it's not even the third piece of content right now. When a con comes out, it's the third piece of content. Unlike Clown, right? You're still going to be doing hard Brel for another 3 to 4 5 months. So you were doing hard Brel for a year anyways, you fucking idiot. Love it.
Western party, G-Show's party, G-Show and friends. And after 4 days of playing with them, we got it on our last pull of the night, which was awesome. I spent a pretty... Actually, not that much time. I think in total I spent about 18 hours with my original party, and then with G-Show's party, like 10 and 8 or something like that. 18 hours in total for Deathless Hellbrel. Deathless Clown was less than 10 hours. I actually got it in one pull with Looter and Royd when I finally got to party with them. And then Vicus, we got it on our second pull, so that was really fast as well. And cumulatively, Brel, I probably have been doing it for like 140 hours in raid time, between prog and just random pulls for fun, random clears for fun, and then finally Deathless. So it felt good to finally get that done. I'm wearing in the title on a couple characters, and it's nice to have it. Valtan doesn't have any, Extreme Valtan doesn't have any special vanity. There's nothing for like Deathless for that or anything like that. Just really nice material rewards. But yeah, I gotta say, today's patch in Lost Ark is one that unironically respects your time. And I really hope they don't lose momentum because...
Wait a minute, what? Yo, I swear I didn't watch this far. Like, I swear I didn't watch this far. That's fucking funny. I just fucking knocked everything over. Yeah. Yo,
because between this and like the impromptu Bikini Island event, right now Smilegate is earning a lot of goodwill back with its Korean community at a very positive time, or in a really dire time where it's really needed. But yeah.
Agreed.
Other games, I'm still playing DFO on the side. I'm like 37,800.
I like same. Okay, I do, but I'm on Lost Ark, and I want to play other games like I used to, but I'm about to pick up a second job, maybe my third job, so yeah, we're gonna do the Lost Ark stuff only.
For Lost Ark, haven't really changed. Dameline's coming up next month. I'm probably just gonna go on my Sork, of course. My Soul Eater will be going to 1620 with a 22 weapon. Then I'm going to stop. She's fun. My next thing that I'm really looking forward to, and that I have been looking forward to, because Soul Eater, I went into it, I was like, it's an all. Slayer, I went into it, I was like, it's an all, and I actually booted her out because I've got my Berserker, who's Giga Chad. But Male Scrapper, I'm actually really looking forward to it, and I might all in on it depending on if it's a frontal attack class. I know a lot of people have been like conflating them wanting to remove the entropy set with them wanting to remove head attack and back attack. That's incorrect. They have never said that. They said they'd be down to remove the set, but not head attack or back attack. And why is this distinction important? Because head attack and back attack adds a dynamic to gameplay. You might not like it, and you might think that Hitmaster is superior, but with enough mastery, back attack and head attack classes, many of them are some of the most competitive, if not strongest classes in the game right now. It's just they have to work a bit harder. And the devs already confirmed that effort does not equate to damage. So a class, it's not equal, and it's not fair that some classes will do less work to achieve similar or more damage. However, that being said, the problem with entropy is not the fact that some bosses are entropy unfriendly. In fact, the latest few raids have been very entropy friendly. The problem is that the average skill level of Lost Ark is very low compared to other MMOs. In other MMOs, the average player is much better at their game than players in Lost Ark.
Yeah, but that's because this game's harder. I'm just gonna say it like it is. I've played a lot of other MMOs. There's not a single game that I've ever played that feels as difficult as this game has felt.
That's not to say that Lost Ark is a harder game, but it is a game that is not tab target, and everything's a skill shot, and the positioning of the player is extremely important on a reactive basis, with much more random patterns and less scripted patterns. And because of that, the average skill level in Lost Ark is quite low, and when you combine that with the back attack playstyle, you would actually be surprised to see that the difference between a great entropy player and just a bad or mediocre one can sometimes be double damage. And I asked my community what they thought was the difference between an average and a great player in a game like Final Fantasy XIV, and people would be like, oh yeah, like 30%, and that's a lot. If I told you that the difference between a great and a mediocre player in Lost Ark on the same exact gear setting could be 70 to 100%, the difference is way just too large. And there's many ways that you can solve this. For example, you can make it so that Ambush Master works like entry set, where some of the bonus is partially applied, even if it's not a back attack. Let's say Ambush Master gets 25% damage on a back attack. How about on not a back attack?
I gotta say this, and I gotta say it now. They shouldn't be changing the set. If you really want to fix this, you gotta give them like a 2% to 5% damage buff, or whatever the hell it would be. You need to make that back attack more rewarding. That's it. And I know that's crazy, because then that means surge classes might overtake Sorks or whatever the case may be, but a positional class should be rewarded more for positioning correctly. Just saying. So no, you just need to up the reward that we're getting for doing it. Don't give us some bonus damage for hitting something in the face. Or maybe that is the fix. I like that. I'm being a little judgmental right now without actually thinking about this, but I like it.
It gives 10%. So the penalty is a bit less. And what this does is it raises the floor without changing the ceiling much. The ceiling would still
Ooh, so well said. Not even gonna
go up a little bit.
So well said.
not even the best players have 100%
Bro,
back.
he gets this shit so well. Like, why can't I be in the podcast with him? Like, because I'm not the smartest human being in the world. I just get shit. Right? He gets shit. He gets shit. He is my Korean endorsement. I approve this message to all the Western players that watch and are intimidated by the Eastern players. He is an Eastern player that has always said it like it is, and I've always appreciated him for that. This kid's intelligent, like a different type of intelligent.
Attack rate, not even the best
It's
players
the
in
glasses.
the world. Some percentage of your skills is bound to not be back attacks, so if you got some damage back on them, even the best players would gain a tiny bit of damage from this. But the idea is,
But they
you're
wouldn't gain
shrink
a lot.
the floor from the ceiling, because there are people out there that want to play a class, but the only way to play them is entropy, and if you play anything other than entropy, you're basically griefing, and you'll probably get gate kept. And so the idea is to make the game more accessible while still allowing...
Actually, I had a video recorded that I haven't uploaded yet, but basically putting Cursed All in place of Entropy. Or Cursed All in place of Ambush Master, and you lose that % damage, but then you don't care, you just go for any type of attack. And actually, because like on a Scrapper at least, like you can, because you're not focusing on back attacks, even though you're taking a damage loss, if you go and Trixie on and you test it versus each other, it actually keeps up. It's not as high, like the peaks, like what he's talking about, aren't as high, but you shouldn't be gate kept, because actually dropping Ambush Master on an ambush class for something like Cursed All seems stupid, seems bad, but it's actually not. It's not. There's actually some real truth to it, and I've been doing tests with that. But
skill expression. And skill expression is the idea that just by playing well, you're rewarded. You don't need to be 100% stronger than a mediocre player to be able to skill express. Being able to hit back attacks is getting 5% more damage and 10% more crit chance. That's literally adrenaline too. You are rewarded at a base, without talking about Ambush Master or Entropy, with adrenaline 2 for hitting from the back, and that is insane. That is really good, let alone other benefits and factors beyond that. And I think people who think that it removes skill to remove like Entropy and raise the floor and lower the ceiling, I think they're out of their mind. And that kind of elitist mentality is what will kill your game, alongside other factors, but it is a factor for sure. So you can still express yourself and still be skillful and show off how good you are without doing so much more damage compared to someone who's struggling on the class a little bit. And none of the...
you know, and what he's saying right now about all of this elitism stuff, I just want to make a point here that I've been making for a long time, that this is the first MMO where I've played where people care so much about being the MVP of the top damage that they change their whole class. They will change their main character. Like Zeals is a perfect example of this. You're supposed to play something that is fun, right, to you. And it's supposed to be a team-based game. It's not one person clearing the raid. It's a team clearing the raid. And it's okay. And every other game, MOBAs, non-MOBAs like Valorant, you have roles that are called flankers or roles that are called DPS, and their job is literally to do more damage. And I really wish that this game would take that approach, because a Surge Deathblade or a Sork Igniter, that's kind of their thing. If you have level 10 gems and your whole party has 7s, you shouldn't be bragging. You should be acknowledging that you are the carry, that you are the damage that makes it easier for your whole team to do their job. And it's really sad that it's not looked at like that, because it's how it should be looked at, you know?
Stuff affects Headmaster, but like, even for skilled players, I've seen skilled players that struggle on new content on Entropy, even if they're really good at existing content. On new content that they don't have on farm, they suck. And so
It's unfair.
compare that to someone like me who plays Hitmaster classes. I mean, I've got Entropy too. Half my roster is Entropy, but I play a lot of Hitmaster. My Sork is Hitmaster. When new content comes out, I just chuck meatballs at the boss. I don't care what direction they're facing. I don't even need to know how their pattern works. I just need the meatball to hit them. And so the learning curve is way easier for me, and that part could be, you know, more fair as well. So I'm hoping to see how they actually plan on adjusting it, because they talked about just removing the entropy set altogether. If they did that, they would need a new set that would be usable only for positional type classes that would be easier to use. For example,
I think his solution was
if
good.
the skill has head attack or back attack attribute, it gains this much damage. Like that kind of thing, for example. That way you get the bonus, but there's still room for skill expression through like Ambush Master and then the basic back attack bonus. God, I was talking about stoops, and now I'm talking.
Maybe allowing back attackers to hit both in the front or the face. So maybe instead of just having front attack or back attackers, if you're a back attacker, you might get a diminished return, but you can also punch something in the face and get something out of it as well. You know, something to that effect.
Well, Lost Ark again. I think that's enough for the update, though. I ended up recording this twice because the first one got corrupted, so I want to kind of wrap things up here. I'll post the VOD of the Deathless Spell clear with commentary. It's gonna be like a 40-minute commentary, but I think it'll be fun to commentate on. And that'll probably be up in the next like day or two. But
That's it. I got nothing else to say. I don't need to say anything to it. That was phenomenal. It was just like the podcast. I might upload the raw footage of when I reacted to that, the low on thing. Because when they say the right stuff, I don't have a reason to say much. Right? So this was phenomenal. Phenomenal. One of the best videos that I've seen recently from a Korean streamer and Eastern streamer. So thank you so much, Saint, for this, because I hope that this sheds some positivity and some light into the community. That's it, guys. Peace out. That's my reaction, my live reaction for the most part, to Saint's video. And we'll flash the video one more time. Alright, go check out my newest video as well. If you want to learn how to make a little bit of gold in the upcoming update. This is beautiful. Bye, guys.